Hey all, welcome back to the worst Let's Play you've ever watched about this game that doesn't matter. I'm so tired of this bullshit. Alright, well, there's only 7 puzzles left in the entire game. This area has been pretty 50-50 as to whether the puzzles are amazing or crap, so that's better odds than anywhere else. So let's give it a shot. Let's see which one I want to do. Let's do this one that's hidden in this cove I've been ignoring for a while. Just got Solitude and Compass. Oh boy, let's go. Let's put a wall there because we know it's going to happen. What should I do about these here? Right? So this piece can only get 4 to the right, so I could take it something like that, right? I could even do that. You know, these types of things. The question is, how do I get all 6 of them? Or even to say all 7 of these to the right. It's not going to be with this piece or that piece. These 2 pieces, however, can. These are the only 2 pieces that can get up here. These can't. Yeah, these... Either, yeah, the north side, as we say north, south, east, and west, of up, down, left, and right. The north side of this, so pretentious. The north side of this is going to prevent me from getting up here, even though the east side of it isn't. Yeah, it seems like this is the type of puzzle where the difficulty just comes from being unable to start it. But whatever. Last time I played, yesterday was it? I don't remember. I had a puzzle I looked at and it looked like one of those, and then I was pleasantly surprised to find out that I was wrong. And maybe today I will find out that I'm wrong about this puzzle. I just don't have a lot of faith in these devs because I've only been wrong once out of 1,200 times. So I have a pretty good hit rate for knowing bullshit. This looks like a puzzle where if it takes me an hour, the first 50 minutes is figuring out the first move. That's what this puzzle looks like, and I absolutely hate that type of puzzle. I don't know if I could say it's an invalid type of puzzle. I just find it to be the most tedious thing you could do. But we'll see. Maybe I can find something to work with in this set. So, let's see. Getting into here is actually not nearly as difficult as getting into there. Because getting into this spot here, right, this piece that's next to it can't get them all. But in this spot, the piece that's here could just grab them all. We don't have to worry about this piece down here. I can look, I got 80 pieces. That's not really helpful to see how many pieces we have. Because these numbers aren't going to add up to 80, are they? If these numbers added up to 80, that'd be very funny, but it's not going to. If it added up to 80, we'd be screwed anyway because we wouldn't be able to get any pieces into here. But what do they add up to? 9 and 9 is 18, plus 10 is 28, plus 9 is 37, plus 9 is 46, plus 9 is 55, plus 4 is 59, plus 7 is 65. 66. Math is hard. So that gives me 14 pieces that are not connected to these, right? I'm going to do that math again because I'm not entirely confident. Yeah, they're right. 9 plus 9 is 18, plus 10 is 28, plus 9 is 37, plus 9 is 46. Yep, 9 is 55, 4 is 59, 7 is 66. So 66 plus 14 is going to get me to 80, which means 14 pieces attached to a compass that are not part of the numbers, so to speak. So in other words, like this compass here, if I move this piece up, this upper piece here is not connected to these numbers. I still need 4 and 5, which would make that. However, the wrinkle here, the reason I can't just use that math is because this here, this piece, diagonally to the right and down of this compass, takes it's both to the right and to the left, so one single piece has reduced the total amount here by 2. So I can't just say I need 14 pieces that aren't part of these numbers, because if that were the case, I would just be, every single thing would just be exactly straight lines away, and it isn't. other thing is this here is 7, and I need 6 of them. So that means I need to do 6 of these 7 belong here. This could be the break-in, perhaps. Now, maybe that's helpful, because I don't think I could do something like this, right? I don't think I connect here. Because connecting in this way would mean I have to leave an orphan cell, unless I did some crazy thing like this. But I don't think I'm going to do that. I need to work that out in my mind. I need to prove. There's been several puzzles like this where I can't prove something's wrong, but I feel like it's wrong, and then I end up being correct about it. It is wrong, and I solved the puzzle. But I don't feel like I solved it because I didn't really prove that my answer was right, just that it was more likely. And if I pick an answer because it's more likely and then it ends up being true, I didn't really solve the puzzle, I just guessed the puzzle. I need to know for a fact that I can't do this, right? For instance. But the problem with trying to prove this is I have 5 options to prove it with. If I don't make... Right, the 6 aren't connected here, right, like this sort of thing. That means it's one of these 5 that isn't taken. And so this would be one set that isn't taken. Now the problem with not doing this is that in order to connect this lower red to the upper, we will need a minimum of 3, which would fill this out, and that would leave an orphan cell. So that can't be the one. If it was this one here, obviously wrong, because we're just automatically connected. So these will always be connected. These are always correct. Up here is less proven. So if I did it this way, because yeah, I can take as many as I like up and to the right. Now the question is, whatever goes into this space needs to touch another compass. This would need to come out. So would this. So this would never touch that compass, because it would block the red in no matter what I did. So it would be this compass. And now the trouble is, red has got to do this entire routine to get around it. Right? Could this one touch another one? Well, this can't touch in there because solitude. So it would have to cut through here if I did this one here. And now this will always be impossible, because it can't take that. It will always take these spaces. So that one for sure is red. Now, if I did it this way, it's a little bit less obvious because I can bring the red out in a couple spots. But now this is probably what I've designed as this yellow, because I can't get it into... I can't do this. The red isn't going to connect. This is silly because red's not going to work. So it would be this one here. So I would need to somehow get 6, 4... So red would need to cut through here, but 4 would need to come and do a whole thing. And now the problem is, if yellow goes here, red can't get out. And if red goes here, yellow can't get out. So I think we can prove that is also red. Now this last one here is the least constricted, but not that much. This yellow still has to touch here, because this would block red. This would block red. This would force red to have more than 3. So here we go. Red would need to take, well, yellow would need to take those. Red would need to take those, which again leaves this space here. Okay, cool. That's proof to me that I need all of these, and then I gotta pick one of these 2 to be not red. Now, if this one's red, it's better for me because it takes an extra piece on this compass that's below, so I only need 1 more piece below, whereas this way I need 2 more below, so I have a lot more freedom. But I know I've got to take these. So I think that's a break-in. Trouble is, it doesn't give me anything to work with. It's just, here's a piece. Are there any others that do similar jargon? Now, this one's a bit more constricted because there's not as many pieces to the left. Does that make sense? So this piece here, if it goes left, I could take 3. Can't take those 3. Because then I would... Well, I could take that. Yeah? I've got 5 pieces to the left, and I need to take 3 of them. So I could take these 3 and do some wonderful fancy thing like this. I could also take these 3. Could I do something like this? Yeah, I could do something like that, but it's not obvious why I would make that decision. So there's something here. I don't think it's going to be these. If I took these, if I take this one, I have to take that one. I would be up here. And then I wouldn't take that piece. Actually, if I take this piece here, I definitely can't take that. So I think I have to be in a line. Right? Like, I'm not going to take this, because then there's an orphan thing. So these three work. The trouble with not taking this piece is now we would need another color. And so I would need to grab 6. This would be, if I did this sort of thing, this blue section now can't reach any of these. Like, getting up here is silly. And also it overloads. And so it wouldn't be this one, it would have to be this guy. So, and it can't ever go below, so it would have to be like this. Maybe I should think about the obvious here. And this, I think this has been staring me in the face, and I've been paying attention over here instead of over here. Which is to say, this piece has to grab 4 to the right, but it can't grab any below. Well, how many to the right do we see? We only see 3. It's gonna have to get up this spot. That, it has to go there. So how is blue gonna get up there? That is the question for the ages. So blue's gonna have to cut through here now. Or just these two for sure. Well, if it doesn't take this space, it would come around, and now this is bad, right? So it's got to take that one. Which means this now needs to take, if it doesn't take this spot, it takes these two. So it has to be, has to take those. And that. That is required. That is required. See what happens if I'm not a stupid idiot. See what happens. Now this piece is going to have to move to the right. There's no getting around that. Right? Yeah. If it goes around... If it doesn't, then I'm never going to get pieces below. So I've got to do this. I've got to come down. So we've got to come down like this. And then we've got to come around. Yeah, I've got to get pieces below it. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I've got 4 below. That's it. It can't take any more. So this piece can't ever... I think I see how this is going to go. So down here, we're going to take... I'm going to actually make purple down here. We're going to take these 4. This over here doesn't matter. These 3, and now we get 6 by going this way. That's clever. Now, I don't know if yellow's going to come up or not. It doesn't really matter. The question is how blue is going to get on. So I think the red is done. Although I can take more pieces here. I just don't know why I would do that. So to get blue to work, the question is blue going to come around this way? Or is it going to go around that way? It needs to grab 4 pieces in this area. It won't be that one. It could be these 4. What if it's these 4? Because then this takes those 4. Right? Because blue's going to have to do that. Blue's going to have to catch, because we see to the right of this is only 3 of them. So it's going to have to pick one of these, top or bottom, to come through and go at least one way. Now, it's not going to be both, because if it goes both at all, then it's not going to go both this way, because blocks things in. So if it went both, it'd be like this, and this now can't get out. It also couldn't get out if it was this way. So it's going to be one or the other. If it's the top, then this is how it would go. Because whatever this is, it would have to go in. Yeah, so it wouldn't do that. It would be that. If it was the bottom now... Do we have... This could work. But then it wouldn't be this piece, because that'd be 5. But this would work if I could get another piece in there. I'm not sure 100% which side it's going to be. But if it's the bottom, chances are it's not going to come through that way. It's going to come through all the way here, but then how do I get 6 there? This piece has to be something. This 4, 6. I need 2 pieces to the right that aren't above, and I have 3. So if I brought blue through here in any way, shape, or form, even if I could get 6 pieces to the right, there'd be more than 4 above. So blue does have to cut through here. Which means this piece, we're going to say you are green. We'll go to the right and down. And then I need 4 above. So everything I do... Oh, if I could do... If I put a wall here, right, then I've got 2 to the right that aren't above, which means I can't take this, because now, as I do above, I'll overload the 4, because I'll need 4 more pieces up here. So I would have to put a wall there. But if I bring this down, I could bring this up, and now I need 3 that are up and to the right, and I'd be fine. So either of those are okay, but I do need to take those 2. If I move up, I gotta take both of those, but if I don't move up and something else is in here, it's fine. The last remaining piece is that one. I can't take both of these because I blocked blue in, and I would not be able to make this work out. So the most I can do is here, which means I do have to take this piece. Which gets me down at this point. I have 3 to the right, so I need 3 more. I have 1 above, I need 3 more. So either I need 3 more like so, or some variation thereof, or I need 1, 2, and then 2 more up here. But I don't know where they're going to be yet. What does mean blue is here. Is there any way blue goes this way? If so, yes, we can do that. I'm trying to question whether or not cyan is going to move to the right. Because if blue moves up, it's got to do something like this. The trouble now. Actually, this isn't trouble. Right? If I do this, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For instance, this is not correct, but I have 5 above and 4 to the right. That's fine. If I move it this way, I've got 1 to the right, so I now need only 3 to the right, but I need 5 above. And if I do this, I still need 4 above and 3 to the right. I'll never have it happen. So I actually can't bring this. I do have to bring this up and out. So this can't be... This 1, 2, 3, 4. Whoop. Theoretically, orange could get there, but it would block blue in. So I think blue has to take that spot. I could do it this way, and now I am home free. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I think this is just it. Hey, that one's actually really clever. I have now been pleasantly surprised twice in 1200 puzzles. That one really does. It makes it look like you're hopeless. You have no way of solving this puzzle. And then there is a way to solve this puzzle. But it is still very much the type where the bulk of the difficulty is getting the first move. I see why puzzle designers do that. It's kind of the easiest thing to do, is you have this really brilliant setup, but you have to figure out a way in. But the thing is, once I figured out the way in, it wasn't that difficult. Like, I still had to think. It wasn't complete walk in the park, so it's not a bad puzzle. It's a good puzzle, because I still had to think all the way through. But 90% of my brain power went to this red and this blue beginning. 90% of it went in. Once I did that, I still had to work some stuff out, but it was much, much easier. And this has happened quite a bit, and I am not a fan of that puzzle type, no matter how good the puzzles are, because it doesn't feel very satisfying to solve, because the biggest work was done at the beginning. The aha moment of the puzzle was at the beginning. And you want to have your puzzle have an aha moment. This puzzle has it. The aha moment is a good moment. I had the aha moment, and it felt good. I saw, wait a second, I can't get 4 to the right without going all the way up here. Aha, that's a realization. The trouble is, I then had to spend 20 minutes or whatever it wasn't that long, I don't think, after the aha moment, doing stuff that wasn't aha moment, right? You want your player to have that aha moment, and at least in my opinion, but I think my opinion isn't completely fabricated. In my opinion, once the player has the aha moment, you need to get them through to the rest of the puzzle within a very short time and with very little effort. Because otherwise, you take that beautiful aha moment and it wears off before the puzzle is over. So the puzzle ended long after the high from the aha moment ended. Right around the time I was working on this upper section, I was kind of done. I was mentally done. I'd already figured out the trick of the puzzle. I'd already felt like a genius for doing so. And here I was, still doing a bunch of bullshit up here. And so, like, I don't know if this is the type of puzzle you cut from the game. However, if I'm the designer and I'm looking at that and I'm seeing people play and trying to figure out where they're having their moment, I'm going, it's not giving me the rush that I want in the place that I want. I want the player to have the aha moment and then be done, right? Which is why I personally believe it is much better to make a puzzle where the first move is easy, even if the puzzle in general is difficult. That happens. There's puzzles I get my first move instantly, but it's still a hard puzzle. I'd prefer that than making the first move hard, because if the first move is hard, that's your aha moment, and now there's an hour of gameplay after it, which is just a decline. If you make your first move easy, you get your player hooked, they start doing their work, and then they realize something and finish the puzzle, and they go out with a bang. That's what you want. This puzzle, unfortunately, went the opposite way to that. But not in a way that makes me think the designer's bad at it, only that's not the perfect puzzle. That's not how it'll go. And I don't think there's anyone in the world who will experience the aha moment in the correct way. I think everyone who solves this puzzle will experience it where I experienced it, which is to say, at the very, very beginning. And I just don't think that's good puzzle design. It's serviceable puzzle design. There's nothing wrong with this puzzle, but the really good stuff is going to make me realize something right before I finish. How about this one? This one actually looks pretty good. I like this one. 3 to 6, size separation, so I don't have to worry about using, it's not mismatched, I don't have to use them all up. Polyominoes, my favorite pizza, and area number. So this is a 6er. These are all 5s. No, I'm going to use my colors to distinguish them. I'm going to say 5 is purple today. 4 is going to be red. Something like that. Let's make 4 orange today. I'm going to use the 4 cardinal directions on this map here. 5, purple, purple, green, orange, purple. I have a feeling I'm only going to have 1 6. This, here. Gotta have a lot of purple today. Probably made a bad choice with my coloring, but who cares? Purple, purple. So this is what I know. You know what I should have done ahead of time? 157. Alright, if I add these up, I bet I'm not going to get close to 157. 3, 8, 13, 17, 27, 30, 34, 39, 42, 47, 51, 61, 66, 70, 75, 78, 88, plus 6, not even close. Okay. Just wanted to make sure it wasn't one of those, I gotta figure out a way to fill all up with these. These guys can't move up. Oh, hold on, no, they can. They can be the same unit. I don't have a solid 2. These ones can't be the same unit. It's not gonna work. So these 2 can't move left or right. Fun part about purple is a lot of these purples are too dark to see the walls I'm making, so we're gonna do that. Let's make these lighter purples as well. We've got to do that because they're not the same thing. Ooh, that means I go this way with this purple, and we've got to have one of these things set up, which means this is guaranteed. And that's guaranteed. So, that. So what goes here? That's going to be interesting. There's a piece here that's got to move up, and then potentially that way or that way. So this guy can't do this. The furthest you can go is here. Actually, is there any way I do this? No, I can't put a wall there. It's not going to happen. So this goes here. And if this goes there, then I'm stuck. I'd have to move down here, which isn't going to happen. The reason I know this, by the way, I had to put these walls size separation. I can't have 2 5s next to each other. So I have to have these 4 Now I could bring this and be done with the W, or I could bring that and break it. So no, this is the W. So that's set. That means we have a 3 piece here. This is set. All right. See, right there. This is what I'm talking about. This puzzle is probably going to be very hard. However, I found this first move very quickly. So this isn't the aha moment. A lot of puzzle designers are going to get insecure because they're going to see that their solvers find this move very, very quickly. And they're going to think this puzzle's too easy. No. Resist that temptation. Resist that voice in your head saying make it harder. Keep this. Because if you make this too hard, I'm going to have my aha moment now. And then it will still take me 20 minutes to solve the puzzle, by which point my aha moment has run out, and the only thing I think when I solve is good riddance. You want me to be experiencing the high of puzzle solving right before the end, because the thing I feel the moment the puzzle is solved is how I will feel about the entire puzzle. That's just how things work. It's just human psychology. It would be so nice if that wasn't the case, but that is the case. So now, this 3 right here cannot go this way because we're going to have a 3 in that spot. We got to go like this. Of course, there is the possibility I've got this section wrong, which would make me feel like a big dingus, but I don't think I'm wrong in this section. I think I'm correct. So this space here is either a 4 or a 6. So it's going to move down this far at least. This 4 now needs to move that way. So this can't be a 4. Well, it can be a 4 if it's like that. I'm so stupid. Hold on a second. No. This is a 6. Because I got to start coming down, I got to be at least 3. But it can't be a 3 because of size separation. Now I now have this orphan cell right here. I've got to take it. But if it's just a 4, whatever I do here, we've got 2 4s next to each other. So I've got to bring this out. And I've broken the puzzle. So I've done something wrong in here. Is it this spot? Can I do this any differently? I don't think I can do this any differently. Can I? With this, I can't do this because we're going to have that. So it is here. This has to be a 4 or a 6. Can't be a 5. It's next to 5s. This 4 now needs to move here. So this comes down. It's here. It has to be 6. But this leaves an orphan cell here. Oh, I see what... Hold on, I'm stupid. That's it. So now up here, I've got to take this. This could be a 4. I don't know what it is yet. Red is I don't know what it is. This is what it is. That's what it is. See, I was wrong about this. And in fact, having that realization was actually quite interesting. I like having that realization because I knew I made a mistake and I knew where the mistake was. So many of these puzzles, I get somewhere and I think I've made a mistake, but I can't see it. So I have to restart the whole puzzle. And that will always make the puzzle feel bad. And I don't know how to get around that. That's a design problem I'm actually not sure how to fix. I don't blame devs for that design problem. It just happens a lot because this game is about 10 times longer than it should be, which is inexcusable, by the way. So as much fun as I'm having on this puzzle today, I will never forget that this game has absolutely soured me on this puzzle type. This piece must move up, because if it doesn't, we're going to have a problem. So it must move up, which means this one here is a 3 or a 4. It is not a 5. Which means this piece needs to move in and become that. So we do still have a 3 here. So now, this piece ain't going to be this guy. Oh, how am I going to do this guy? How am I going to do this guy? That. Something like this. I think that's a requirement here, right? Because I can't have... So, with the Y shape, every piece on it is either part of the nub or it's part of the stick. It's part of the nub or part of the shaft. No, that's worse. That's so much worse. So this can't be part of the nub, because if it's the nub, it either is one of these and I can't make it fit. I can't move that way. So if it's the nub, it goes up or down and then it touches this piece here. So it must be part of the shaft, which means it goes in these spots here. Could go up or it could go down. Means that the nub is going to move one of these 2 ways, and I can't move here. That's the nub. Now this F is a lot more constricted because I can't move it down in any of these spots. This piece needs to come up, so this F can't even move to the right. So this piece now needs to be at least 3, so it needs to come up here. Now, it can't be a 4. So it could be a 3 or it could be a 6. Dang it. I have an option. I thought I had this locked down to 3. Well, let me think of this for a second. F shapes need to be within a 3x3 box, right? Here's an example of an F shape. It's in a 3x3 box. So the question is, this piece here, where's the 3x3 box? The 3x3 box cannot move to the right at all because there's a wall. These are all not F pieces. So the F piece needs to be 3 long this direction, but it can't touch this one here. It can't be like this, I don't think, because then it's this corner piece and it would touch that one right there. So it's not that one. So that means this is the box for F. Now in that box for F, is there any way I can take this piece? No, because the piece that is on the side in the middle moves to the center. So that means this F must move into the center, like so. That's blocked. And now the question is, well, it actually has to do this. The question is to take that piece or that piece. Either way, it doesn't take this one, so this piece does have to move to the left, which means it is not a 6 here. You can't go above it. This must be a 3, because it can't be a 4, because then we have that problem. That must be a 3. This can't be a 3, because then we don't... we could do that. Damn it. This can be a 3 or a 4. But that gives me something. See, this is what I want. See, I'm having like little revelations as I go. That's how you do this. So now either that or that. If it's here, I lose because there's 2 5s next to each other. So it is this one. That is the F. This can't move left because now we have a space for 2. So this must be here. So this S piece must connect here. There is no way to connect it without it. The S also needs to take place in a 3x3 box. See? We need to have that. And so this piece here, where is that 3x3 box? It can't be this one because the right side is completely taken up. It can't be here because the right side is completely taken up. It must therefore be here or here. But this one here isn't going to work because we need to move in this way, which isn't going to work. So it is in fact this box, and it's this shape right here. So let's make this lighter. That's the S because that gives us a 4 there. Now this piece has to be, well, it could be a 3. It can come down here just fine. It can also be a 4. It could be a 6. That's got to start. This has to be one that comes down and here. It's got to be a 4 or a 6. I can do both. Trouble with this elbow is I can't do that. We're going to have 2 3s. So I have to at least one of these 2. I can't take both of these. I can, because I can make this a 6. If I did that, we'd be screwed. So I can't actually move this elbow up, because then I either break by having 2 3s next to each other or I have an orphan cell. So that's not up. So it must move down. It means this cross is now somewhat restricted. I can't move. Think about where on the cross we have it. We can't have it this way. It goes off the edge of the map. We can't have it go up because obviously it's stuck there. It can't go down because it's going to go into that S piece. It can't stay where it is and be the centerpiece. It's got to move to the right. That's there. This can't move up now. This can't move to the right as well. So that means it is this shape. There's really not anything else I can do. Is there? This seems like a way to destroy the puzzle. I can't win with this. Right? Maybe there's another way to do this section up here. Let's back out of this cross for a second. There's no other way to get this cross to go, though. And if I don't move this elbow down, I move it up, right? It has to move either up or down, because otherwise it does that. Oh, no. I see my mistake. I see my mistake on that guy. I assume that this piece is the junction, and it doesn't have to be. So let's keep this. This can't move rightward. It can't do that. fact, it can't move up here at all. Yeah, it can't move up here. Because if it moves up, how am I going to make the thing work? This way? No. Okay, let's look at this cross again. We can't say that it moves leftward, right? Because then this isn't going to happen. It can't move down and it can't move up. So either it moves in that way or it stays where it is, which means it does take this spot here. And then if I did this, well, if I moved up here, this would be how it goes. And now we'd be stuck. So I think it is this, and then we got to bring that in, and we can do that. This is totally possible. I think that's it. Can I prove that? I don't want to guess that. Can I prove that that's the case? Well, down here, the C shape for me, I feel like I don't have enough experience with the C shape to really just instantly see where it can go. But we have 4 arrangements. We have this, we have that, we have this, and we have that, right? We have the different ways to do the bracket. Now, we can't make this bracket actually the C shape, because that will always look like this. Because we can't move directly to the right, because we'll have 2 5s touching, and the law says you can't do that. So we'll never have this, because we leave an orphan cell, so we can cross that off. We can't have it go this way, because this is the only way to do it, and it touches that and makes the cross impossible to complete. So it's got to be up or down. The thing about being down like this is it will be like that, and now we have an orphan cell. So it must be up, which means that is also part of the 5. And this is a possibility, and this is a possibility. So those are the only 2. This one breaks because now this cross is nowhere to go, because it will always do that. Therefore, I've proven it is this. This must go down because something's got to fill it. And now this would break? I think it has to be this way. If I'm going this way with the S piece, the cross has to be here. We have a 2, and we can't fit that in. Range is 3 to 6. So we have to go this way. The cross can't bend here because that leaves orphans. So yeah, that's that. Now this becomes more interesting. This can't be a 3? Yeah, this can't be a 3. If I said that was a 3, I couldn't take that space or that space. I'd have to take this one. And now I leave 2 orphaned locations. So this has to be larger. This can be a 4 or a 6. Which means I could go like this. And that. I could go here. No, I can't do this because now I have a 5. I can do that. No. I can do this. No. I can't come up. In fact, I can't move this elbow to the right. If I move this elbow to the right, if I bend up, I leave an orphan cell. If I bend down, I've got 2 cells in here. I'd have to fill them. They have to be filled with this piece. Well, now I got 2 5s. This has to become a 6, and now I've got an orphan cell here. So no. We can go this way. No, because now we have a 5. We can't go that way, so it does have to be this as my thing. Let's make it lighter so I can see the walls more clearly. This needs to be a 4 or a 6. 6 doesn't work, so it is a 4, in fact. Like so. Just remember, I'm using orange for 4 today. Yeah, this is how I like to do things. I am making mistakes as I go, but I'm able to see them and know where the mistake is to fix it. I'm making little discoveries, so rather than having one big aha moment, I'm having a little one. I do an aha moment, I continue. I need another one, and I continue. I need another one, I continue. So I feel good and smart. It is not important whether I am good and smart, I just feel that way. So here we go. I've got something that now touches. It has to. This piece here has got to extend out, and this piece can't be orphaned, so we have to have this. Can't be a 3, I'm touching one. Can't be a 4, I'm touching one. Can't be a 5, I'm touching one. So we need this to be a 6, and it can't go here because then it'll touch that 6. So either it goes up this way or it goes down that way. This piece now has got to extend. This could stop right where it is because that is a, that's 3 and we don't need to worry about it. This F might touch that, but it might not. Because how would I do it without touching? I said these weren't touching, right? Then I couldn't make this the box, right? This piece, well, it can't attach that because it would be 5, and it also can't attach because the F won't fit that way. This is one way, right? If I said these don't attach, I have to make this here. And no matter what I do, yeah, I know that I can't, hold on. I can't take anything to the left of this. So I would have to be within this box here. I can't be within the box one space above. Because the trouble with being that is that this piece is now in the corner. And the thing about the F part in the corner is that you always have to have the opposite side. Which means opposite side is either this spot or that spot, both of which would be illegal, right? If we're assuming these two pieces don't touch. So I'd have to be in this spot here, which means I am this part of the piece, which means I have to take all 3 of these, and I'd be touching. So from that we conclude for sure that these touch, which means, oh, hold on, let me draw again. I'm part of this. So I need a piece extending from the center and a piece extending from the edge. So I have a few options. Edge, center, edge, center, edge, center, edge, center. This would be an interesting one. And whatever I do down here, because it would require this piece to come out, which means this could be a 3 and this could be a 6, or this could all just be a 6. This would be less so. Well, if I put something down here, I'd have to make this a 6 exactly like so, right? If this piece comes down, because we have this. Whatever's here has got to be at least 3, so it's connecting. We're at 5, it can't be 5, so it has to be 6 here. Now, if I did it this way, we could just stop. We could just stop at 3, or stop at 4. One of these two will, in fact, no, one of these 3. So we definitely can't bring something through all of that. That's not helpful. How about a piece here? How about this? This has got to extend out. That's not helpful. Can I get something from this area? Well, this piece can't extend to the right because now we have an orphan cell. So we actually have that settled. This has to move down. And since this piece is touching a 3, a 4, and a 5, it must be a 6. So the question is, how do I make this C shape? Remember, we have the different brackets we can make sideways or we can make up and down. We can just go through what are the ways we do it. Do we have a bracket here? This would be the bracket. And that's fine. It looks fine. The bracket the other way is not possible. It's not possible to make this bracket fit in anything. Not so much that it will touch something of the same thing. It will encroach on another space or go outside the boundary. The upward space doesn't work because it's either part of the tip or it's part of the base. If it's part of the tip, then it goes off the edge somewhere. If it's part of the base, it goes off the edge or it goes into this 6. So it's not that way. It's not upside down either, because then if it's part of the base, it's something like this. It goes off the edge. If it's part of the tip, then it, yeah. So we have a bracket facing leftward, which must be this shape. So that gives me the 6 shape complete. It's just a straight line. This guy can't move down because then we have orphaned domino. This piece got to be at least 3. This guy is going to be interesting. I think that's the shape of the N, right? So the N shape here, we either have facing up and down, but we don't have enough space to face up and down here. So it's going to be sideways. We either have this shape or this shape. But with both of those shapes, we have different lengths of top and bottom. So we can have this shape with a long bottom, this shape with a long top. I've exaggerated it here. And vice versa, right? So there's 4 arrangements of that. And the reason I think it's this one, or sorry, the reason I think it's this one is it doesn't cause 2 5s to touch each other. It can't be this arrangement ever, right? This arrangement doesn't work because it leaves orphans. This arrangement doesn't work because it leaves orphans. So we know it's going to be whatever the bottom shape is here, either a long bottom or a long top. Long top, like this way wouldn't work. We have orphan here. This orange isn't going to fit, and also 2 cells down there. This also won't work. this won't work because we have 5 in here. We're going to have 2 5s next to each other. So it must be this, because we can fit that there and that there. So now we have to have at least 3 down here. That forces us to have this place. This is now set. This piece needs to take that one. This needs to be a 3. This needs to be here. That needs to go there. That's at least 4. This has to be 6 because it's touching a 4 and a 5. Alright, this 6 is going to be rather constricted because now I can't go down here too far. That's got to come out. Where is it going to go? I can't touch this because I got 3 and 3. This can't be one unit. This is touching a 5 and a 4. It could be a 6, but it could also be a 3. This is touching a 5 and a 6, so it's a 3 or a 4. We could do something like that, be the safest thing to do, or we can do like this thing and really constrict that 6 right here. Up here, I still don't know for sure. I've got to have something here that's not a 6 or a 4. If I brought that, that's fine. This can't go up, can it? Yeah, it can. This 4 or 6. If I brought, I can't bring this down, because if I bring this piece down, it's touching a 6. So it can't be a 6, but it's now a 5, and it can't be a 5. So I've got to block that. So if it's a 6, it's got to move this way. That means what's here? This could just be the 6. If it isn't the 6, we've got to do something like that. How am I gonna? This 6 is now pretty constrained, because I got to watch out for all these other 6s. And if I make these guys 6s, we're screwed. Actually, if this is a 6, I think I'm screwed, because I can't go this way or that. Or that way. I would have to go around and I would be screwed. So this can't be a 6, it must be a 3. So this could still be a 3, we don't know. I could bring this in and make that a 4, and this would be a totally fine thing to do. But I would rather prove that a move is necessary rather than guess. I think this 6 piece has to move left, because if it doesn't, we have a new piece here. And then we have a problem. So we've got to move it left, excuse me. Can't move it here, that'd be orphan cell, so that's how we do this. This 6 can't go here, so that's a new piece. So the 6 can't take both of those, but it can take one of them. I mean, taking this feels like the easiest thing to do. See what I mean? Yeah, this feels like the easiest thing to do. So we're going to do this easiest thing. You see how it's going to go? At this point, we just solve the puzzle as we see it. So this is going to be a 4, this is going to move up, and now we have a 3, and we're done. That is exactly how I want a puzzle to go. That was a mwah, 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 mwah. Perfect. So this one didn't have a singular aha moment. It had a series of them. So it was like a bunch of mini puzzles. But for each one, I had a moment where I realized something, figured something out, made myself feel very smart, and then I put it in. And then I would reach another point where I'd have to do that again. So rather than having like the previous puzzle where there was one big moment that I'd figure out, and the rest of it, while I still had to do some work, there was never like a huge realization to me, or at least I didn't feel a huge realization because I'd already had a huge one. Any realization after that point is smaller and therefore less potent. Whereas here, I never had a moment where I had an aha moment that was bigger than the one that came after. I was always figuring something else out new, and by the time I finished, I felt good and smart. I feel great solving this puzzle. This is how they should be designed. I realize not every single puzzle in every game will do that. However, if you know what you're doing when you're designing puzzles, this is what you're aiming for. You're aiming for this. You are not aiming for this necessarily, though this puzzle isn't bad. You're not aiming for that. And you definitely aren't aiming for this bullshit. I don't remember when I did this one. But this kind of bullshit does not feel good to solve. It is tedious, mind-numbing boredom. That is all that is. There you go. Even in I just to make sure, even if I only play good puzzles today, I have to remind you that this game sucks. Not because the puzzles in it are all bad, although a lot of them are. It sucks because it's a bad game. It's good puzzles in a bad game. And that angers me. I am irrationally angry at video games for doing this shit. Just cut it down to 200, 300, 400, maybe even 500 puzzles, and just get all the good ones. Maybe you don't have 47 different rule sets. You just give me the best stuff. You just give me this stuff. Then you have a brilliant game. And if I finish your game thinking, man, I wish there was more, you win. That's what you want. You want me to feel like I didn't quite give you enough. Because then, if you make a sequel / DLC, I'm going to pounce on that. If you make a level editor, which is in this game, I'm going to pounce on that. Currently, I have no intention of ever buying a sequel or DLC for this game, nor do I ever want to buy any other game that this developer makes. That is how I feel right now. And I don't want to use the level editor. There's nothing more to this game I ever want to see. So if you just cut it down, if you just made it a short game, I would have wanted more, and I would have been desperate to give you my money. As it is, I paid you once for the product, which, by the way, is undercharging. It should have been a lot more money than you charged me. I spent like $20 Canadian, and that's not even real money. So, like, I would have gladly given you $40 for this, but you got 20, and you're never going to get that second 20 because I don't want to see a sequel or DLC. So what are you doing? What are you doing? All right, I've worked myself up. I've worked myself up for no reason. Oh, how many more do I have? How many more do I have? 5 more. I'm not doing them today. Yeah, I'm not. It's been an hour. I got other things to do. I have a life to live. I really wish this game had been shorter so I could have just moved on to something else. Nothing was stopping me. I could have just stopped halfway through. Like, I'm my own person. I can do whatever I want, but I am shackled by my own mental condition to this need to finish things, and I gotta fucking do it. So I'm going to, but I am severely regretting ever buying this game. That is a shame, because this game did not deserve to be so hated. But now that I've played it, it fucking deserves it. Alright, see y'all around. Bye.